Good evening to my general viewing audience. I come to you with a bonus video. A bonus video because it's not Saturday, but I'm still giving you a video. Now I'm giving you a video due to the fact that I was outraged by the shit I read. It's an article regarding the death of an unarmed black man in Millbrae, California. It occurred on October 3rd of this year. Let me quit talking about it, let me be about it, and help you see about it while I hydrate.
A man who was killed in the bizarre deputy-involved tasing incident that shut down a highway along the peninsula for hours.
And this all happened in Millbrae on El Camino Real between Santa Teresa Avenue and Millwood Drive.
That's where we find KRON 4's Romello Aragawi, who spoke to a neighbor who knew the victim almost all his life. And Romello, what did he tell you?
Well, he tells me he was just really stunned to learn this. He says the victim was a good, lovable guy, just one of the kids that grew up in the neighborhood. We spoke to him near a family home in Pacifica, and he tells us it's really heartbreaking because he knew the victim since he was a kid. Valentine Okobi are mourning the 36-year-old's tragic death. He died Wednesday after a struggle with sheriff's deputies. The San Mateo County Sheriff's Office tells us around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Okobi was running in and out of traffic on El Camino Real in Millbrae. They say Okobi immediately assaulted a deputy after the officer made contact with him. That led to a call for backup and a struggle between a deputy and Okobi. They were both taken to a local hospital where the deputy was treated for his injuries, but Okobi died. A neighbor who's known Okobi nearly all his life says he's stunned.
I've known him since he was a kid. He's, always lived on this block. My mom's been here 50 years, so I watched him go from grade school, grammar school, and then to college. And it just blows me away to know that he's not here anymore.
The San Mateo County Sheriff's Office says a gun was not fired, and witnesses say it was a taser that was used, but the Sheriff's Office declined to confirm that. It's also unclear what Okobi was running from, if anything, and what led up to the fatal incident.
I feel sorry for his mom. I feel sorry for his mom and his family. My heart goes out to them. But, these days, the police got a job. They got a job to do, and in certain situations, things like this happen. I'm not condoning what happened, but, until they find out exactly what happened, again, my heart goes out to his family.
Because this is an officer-involved fatal incident, the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, or the San Mateo County District Attorney, and the County Coroner's Office are investigating the case. Reporting live in Millbrae, Romello Aragawi, KRON 4 News.
Thank you, Romello.
There you go. Now, I know what you're likely thinking right off the bat. You might be outraged too. Unarmed black person killed by a police officer. I don't know if the officer was white or black. And actually likely would have been multiple officers, and that he was tased multiple times. But it's not the fact that he is dead which caused my outrage. It was the actions of his sister that just didn't enrage me. It made me ashamed to be black. Now, I'll have to look it up because they're like Nigerian American, but his name was Chinedu Okobi. And as you saw from the article, he was killed. The police department has not released any video, or the sheriff's department hasn't released any video, nor has the DA, of course. The DA is still investigating the matter almost 2 months later, and says there still may be witnesses out there. But they spliced together some video from cell phones and cameras from different angles, as the Millbrae Police Department, their officers don't wear body cams. However, they showed this to the family in a bill, I guess. E.B. as in baby, E.L.E. Okobi, saw it on Friday. And then wrote a long-ass diatribe on Facebook, which CNN caught and decided to pass along to innocent people such as myself, and then who are then upset by the fact that this woman, hold on, there we go. Thank you for your patience. But CNN decided to assault my senses and the senses of other black individuals, intelligent black individuals who read that garbage and read what she wrote. And I can understand how, well, I'll just call her Miss Okobi, is upset and likely still grieving for the loss of her brother. But she let her grief blind her to the facts. After watching that video and posting what she saw, hell, her own statements give justification to the use of force against her brother. Yet she can't see it. And it seems to be an epidemic among black people whose relative has died at the hands of the police to excuse the actions of their relative and foist that blame upon the police department. I should say law enforcement, the police, sheriff's deputy, whomever, that's out there enforcing the law to keep civilized individuals safe from the animals that are roaming about. And I'm not going to say Chinedu is an animal. No. Turns out he's been battling mental health problems for the last 10 years. And his sister said he may have been off his meds. If he was, then where were y'all to help kind of guide and support him? Kind of like AA, you know, you call your sponsor and shit, or, you know, are you taking your meds? I'm like, yeah. I just took a hit right now. I'm good. Where were they to make sure he was taking his meds? Call him on the phone, swing by the house. If he grew up in that house or in that neighborhood, he might have still been at the house with his parents. Somebody should have been checking to make sure he took his meds. Now, the police said, she says lies, so I'll go back and forth a little bit, but her, like I said, it's a diatribe. Hit her up on Facebook. Shit, you know, she's here since she's the policy director of Facebook for Africa. So they said the deputy came up and dude started to fight him. Now, she said that he was walking on the sidewalk. The deputy rolled up, said, you know, what's up, cuz? Who you is? And well, no, I'll put it in her words. There we go. That might help you out. So, there we go. Based, because I'm talking like her, or close enough as I can. So, based upon the audio of the first deputy who made contact with my brother, that deputy was also not responding to any calls about anyone running in and out of traffic. So there was no basis to stop my brother other than what the deputy saw. The video shows the deputy was driving down the street, noticed my brother walking down the street, or walking down the sidewalk from about a block away, and decided to stop him. Excuse me. When the deputy pulls alongside my brother, he shouts at him and asks him what he's doing. Tells him he needs to question him. My brother quietly answers, though it's inaudible, and then walks to the intersection, looks out for traffic, and crosses the street. At that point, the deputy calls in a code 3, which means emergency send backup. Excuse me one moment. Okay, now, from the photographs, you can kind of see that her brother is a rather large individual. Now, we don't know his height, but we know he's a hefty dude. Now, what we don't know is whether, or at least I don't know, but maybe you know, whether or not this is a male or female deputy and what the size of this individual is. If it's a female deputy or a slightly built male deputy, they called it an emergency due to the fact that they told him, I want to ask you some questions. And then he continued to walk away as opposed to stopping and then answering those questions. What the fuck would that have hurt? What's your name? My answer, why do you need to know? Where are you going? My answer, why do you need to know? Well, I think there was a robbery over at the place. Oh, really? Why, let's discuss that in full. You don't have to give them I won't say because you do have to give them a correct answer. But you can make inquiries of your own without just answering the doggone question. You can ask why. So, she calls it lie number 1. I call it proof of disobedience number 1. If he would have taken the time to answer the questions, there would have been no need for a call for backup. Because she says lie number 2, at no point was a deputy in danger. Give me one moment. That's it. At no point was the deputy in danger. There was nothing about a man crossing the street at an intersection that was an emergency. He was in a car, and my brother had crossed the street away from him. The deputy, within 2 minutes of having seen my brother, has dramatically escalated the situation that didn't need to even be a situation, and has then lied about being in danger and there being an emergency, which he knows will result in other deputies coming in hot. The next cut of the video shows my brother as he has crossed the street, or crossed to the other side of the street. The first deputy speeds across the street to cut him off. Another police car speeds up in front of my brother. Deputy Elisa Lorenzati charges out of the car. At this point, my brother drops his bags and puts his arms up in the air. Deputy Lorenzati rushes into him. He twists to the side and moves his hand up to avoid being hit or to avoid inadvertently hitting her. They grab him. They rip off his jacket. He tries to run, asking, "What's wrong? What did I do?" That's when Deputy Joshua Wayne tased him. My brother falls in the street on his back, crying. He has the presence of mind to keep his hands in the air, even as Deputy Wayne holds the taser and continuously sends jolts of electricity through his prone body. He is not fighting, just crying in pain. I will never forget the visual of his hands waving above his head, open, begging. He begs him to take the taser prongs off of him. He tries to pull them off himself. Now, let me tell you motherfucker something. So it very well may appear, I could be wrong, but the first deputy was indeed a female, because I'm reading this shit as I'm going along or whatever. So, he dropped the bag, puts his hands up in the air, but you were defiant initially to begin with. That was the catalyst. So I asked you some shit and you was already defiant. So, civility is out the window at that point, and you big and I'm a female. Now, she says lie number 3. My brother never attacked any of the deputies. He did not assault anyone. My baby brother, as big as he was, didn't even defend himself. The deputies kept shouting at him to turn over on his stomach. They electrocuted him again. He screams. At no point does anyone tell him why he was stopped, what they think he has done, whether or not he is under arrest. When there is a break in the torture, my brother staggers to his knees, tries to run away. Deputy pulls out his baton, strikes. and they tase him again. My brother goes down. At some point, my brother tries to run across the street. They chase him. They tase him. They pepper spray him. They jump on top of him while he is prone. There's audio of Sergeant Wiedner saying, "Stay on top of him. Stay on top of him. Stay on top of him." Someone asks if my brother is still breathing. Sergeant Wiedner keeps cheering them on, telling them to stay on top of him, or to stay on him until they have crushed the life out of him. Someone shouts, "I see blood." Then it's over. My brother died. My brother has clearly died right there on the sidewalk in broad daylight. One of the deputies immediately declares it a crime scene. A deputy asks another solicitously if he wants water. Killing my brother is thirsty work, apparently. What not a single one of those deputies does is give my brother CPR. None of them tries to help. They express no shock or remorse at the fact of his death. It's all very casual. They prop his body upright like an overfull trash bag. His head hangs forward, airways occluded. No one follows even the most basic life-saving procedures. There is no mercy or compassion for my little brother. If they had killed a dog the way they killed my brother, there would be outrage. Okay, so now that's pretty much about it, because this shit that she wrote goes on hella far. Or hashtag justice for Chinedu, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Luta Continuum. What the fuck is that? Anyway, I'm not going to make light of his death. But in reading it, one, let me hydrate while I check out the current score of this game. Chiefs at the Rams, 30-30. Once again, we have a black male who, without hearing it, I can't say he was given instructions by the deputy, but she did say, "I want to talk to you. I want to question you," and then you walk away. The fuck do you think is going to happen? So even if she didn't order you to stop, and unfortunately, according to his sister, his answer was inaudible. And maybe he said, "I got to go to the store. I got to piss," So we don't know what he said before he started walking away. But even if the deputy did not instruct you to stop and answer the questions. That's it. They ask your name, you could still answer a question with a question. Why do you need to know my motherfucking name? But to ignore the deputy is to show defiance. And to show defiance is to gamble with your life. Is that fair? Fuck no. But we're black. And people in America have been treating us unfair since we got here. The fuck do you expect? But we have to deal with it if we want to live with it. And apparently, I won't say he didn't want to live with it because he had mental problems. But when you've got people like his sister going out and advocating for changes within the sheriff's department and calling for justice for her brother, your brother did not obey the lawful orders of the officer. As a result, the situation escalated. And because the situation escalated, your brother died. As you see, if he's already prone on the ground, being electrocuted by Joshua Wang, why the fuck did he get up? You answer me that question, Ebele, Ebil, Miss Okobi. That's resisting arrest. That's resisting arrest. Even though they did not tell him he was under arrest at that time, the fact that you've been tased, well, I'd say that would be pretty much a good indicator that if you're not arrested yet, you're about to be arrested. So why the fuck are you trying to get up? Now, you didn't say anything as it relates to, they told him, stay down, stop resisting, put your hands behind your back. You're the only one that saw that video. But police officers are trained to throw that phrase out so they can beat the shit out of you and say, well, he was resisting. Even if you're laying there as if you're in a coma, they'll still beat the fuck out of you and tell you to stop resisting. They can, if they yell it loud enough, anyone who's hearing it but doesn't see it will assume that you are resisting. So that's point number 2. 1, he walked away from the police. 2, when he was on the ground, even after being tased, or while being tased and on the ground, he got up and tried to run away. So then they had to hit him with the baton, and then bam, somebody else tased him again. Were they supposed to just let him get up and run down the street? The fact that these relatives, like you, Ms. Okobi, try to comfort yourself by justifying defiance of law enforcement makes me sick. Now, I'm sorry for your loss, but if you really cared about your brother like you want to act like you do now, then you should have stayed on top of him and his maidens. And he could have lied to you and said he was taking him if he wasn't, but he was still in his old neighborhood. Someone at the house should have been, hey, well, here, take this, put it in your mouth, drink this water, open your mouth and let me see, like they do at the psychiatric hospital. But you, Miss Okobi, and people like you make me fucking sick. That's because, let me hydrate and I'm gonna finish. That is because you, in effect, are doing shit to stop the next black male from being the next Chinedu Okobi. Instead of going out and preaching the police were wrong, even though he didn't follow orders, even though he tried to run away, and even though he resisted, it's still the police officer's fault. No, you need to preach. If you got mental problems, if your relative has mental problems, stay on top of that motherfucker, because it can lead to their death. 2, if they don't have mental problems, do what the fuck the police say while on the street. And if you got a problem with what they're telling you to do, you take that shit up after the encounter, where you can go to court with a lawyer. But you don't do that shit on the street, where you're more than likely to be Okobi'd. That's it, that's all, gentle viewer. Like I said, some people just really need to shut the fuck up. And unfortunately, in her grief, Ms. Okobi spoke when she should have shut the fuck up. That's it, that's all, gentle viewer.